Television, the voice of Lagos.
Big fish, big fish.
Oya, bring me big fish.
This one no dey sing, but they make noise.
When I say big, I mean something big.
By next time, yeah? This traffic now, wow.
Driver, I beg step up for me, I beg you. Today, the whole Lagos, they go watch Adekunle go. I go double the money for you, Oga.
I don't want to know where you dey. If not for market today, I'll be there on top of Okada seat.
You there for sure. Make sure you hear this one well because Big Fish is back. Adekunle Go don't return with that
Fuji fire. This one I say if you sabi,
you sabi. And if you don't sabi, you gonna learn.
so I want everybody to tune in. Big Fish TV.
To everybody in the studio,
Watching us at home, please put your hands together for Adekunle Go.
From the beginning, the only language it speaks is Lagos. Agogoro Eyo, mo yọ̀ fún ẹ, mo yọ̀ fúnra mi. I rejoice with you, I rejoice with myself. This is Lagos Television, the voice of Lagos.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us on the conversation. We are glad to be back here again. I am Ajibola Ojeshola.
It is a beautiful Thursday morning. I am Joy Olu. Welcome to the conversation.
Okay, beautiful Thursday indeed, especially for the people of Rivers State. Many people were not surprised yesterday when Mr. President ended that state of emergency in Rivers State through a statement. Of course, we all know that Governor Fubara, alongside his deputy, as well as members of the Lagos State, Rivers State House of Assembly, were suspended in March because of some development and friction happening between the FCT minister and, of course, the suspended governor then. But we're happy for the people of Rivers State. Now they'll be able to enjoy the dividends of democracy. But people are looking at these things and development from different sides, legally, constitutionally, as well as politically. What does it portend for the people of Rivers State, as well as the future of Governor Sim Fubara? Barrister Dare Oloyede will be joining us shortly on the program to give us the legal, constitutional, as well as the political angle to this development in Rivers State. So now that the state of emergency has been lifted by Mr. President yesterday, when you look through his speech, which was released yesterday as well, he had a lot to say, how he needed to take that particular decision in the interest of the people of Rivers State. And of course, he advised not only the governor of Rivers State now, all other governors in the Federal Republic of Nigeria and members of the State House of Assembly to try to work together harmoniously in the interest of the people. Dari Loede is joining us virtually via Zoom this morning to give us his own perspective as regards this restoration of democratic rule in Rivers State. It's a pleasure to have you join us this morning, Dari Loede.
Good morning, my brother. It's my pleasure to be here again. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, let's talk about the restoration of democratic rule in Rivers State yesterday. We all saw and read about the action of Mr. President lifting that state of emergency in Rivers State. So, from your own perspective, give us your own interpretation of this development politically, constitutionally, and legally.
Well, my take is that this is a political solution to a political problem. Unfortunately, the court system has not been given an opportunity to actually make a final pronouncement on the legality or otherwise of what happened in Rivers State. But the political gladiators involved in the matter, I believe they are happy. They have. There is no better way to resolve a dispute than through conciliation and mediation. I mean, more often than not, litigation does not solve problems. So one can give kudos to the political actors who came together and found a solution that appears to have suspended the problem. My humble opinion, though, is that it is just like, having a corpse that is not properly buried. But I don't want to sound too pessimistic. Politicians have their own ways, and those of us who are not in politics, we have our own ways. We can only talk, but we can't. We are not in executive positions. So let's hope that ultimately this will bring a closure to a very, very protracted problem in Rivers State.
So for the members of the State House of Assembly, as well as Governor Fubara himself, what will be your advice for them? Do you see them working together for the peace and progress of Rivers State, or these particular peace and, of course, restoration of democratic rule in Rivers State is like that piece of the graveyard?
Well, my opposition is really that it's piece of the graveyard, because I don't think all the parties involved are satisfied with the solution that has been proffered. But, I mean, if the politicians know what is good for them, I think this is the time to bury the hatchet. Everybody should go to the drawing board and come together. Ordinarily, there should be no basis for the president to intervene in the affairs of Rivers State at the material time. But they gave him the opportunity to wade in. And having now released the state back into their hands, I believe that it is time for them as brothers and sisters to sit down together and decide to be on the side of the people, not on the side of politics. Because what they have played is politics, and they played themselves into a quagmire. It is time for all of them as Rivers State people to sit down together. They were all political bedmates before. It does not sound well and good for Rivers to have to be, taken over by foreign elements for the purpose of administering. As you can see, the administrator that was appointed by Mr. President, his departure was not greeted by ovation. There was a loud, big fight, big quarrel. Salaries have not been paid. A lot of protest. So it's like the man is living behind a bag load of problems that I hope the governor and his people in the House of Assembly will be able to sit down together and resolve once and for all before 2027. I hope this is not just packaging for 2027, because the packaging will not work. It won't.
So these old developments, how will it affect the psychology of the people of Rivers State as well as the quality of governance?
Well, throughout the tenure of the administrator, you witnessed all that transpired. The Rivers State people never really accepted him. There were occasions when they protested openly, when they mocked him openly, mocked his wife openly. They didn't really go along with the intervention. And now he's leaving. The people, there's no sign that the people are happy with his coming and going. So, but there's been enough of animosity in the polity. And if the politicians know what is good for them, like I said earlier on, it is time to be on the side of the people who put them in power. You cannot continue fighting and fighting. It's 2 years into the administration. And what dividends have they gotten? I got a report from a friend yesterday who is a colleague. He lives there. And he said, this thing has set them backwards for years. Because there were road works, there were road construction projects that started with this governor. And immediately after he was removed, the man that came in as administrator, stopped everything. Now, because of the rainy season, the advent of the rainy season, everything that was done, because there was no further progress. It was like they were in a state of suspended animation. Everything stopped. Now, the road that was there in his own area, he was talking about his own area, and it applied to so many areas. That road project, because it stopped, the whole place is a total mess now. Now, what is I always say this, democracy is supposed to be very strategic and dynamic. Democracy, I think the problem we have in this part of the world, in Africa particularly, we look at the textbook definition of democracy and we don't want to make amends. We always talk about homegrown solutions to homegrown problems. Now, we practice democracy that is in the books. We don't practice democracy that actually talks about the interest of the people. If there is a problem, it doesn't mean that every time we must just follow the same rule all the time. For instance, let me give you, I believe there was still a case pending. The rushed manner in which power was handed over to Fubara, I believe it was so as to avoid what we call the use of the doctrine of necessity again. Because of the pending litigation, they had to quickly, okay, you go back there and all that. Otherwise, we would have had some dire consequences. If they had allowed the court to make a final pronouncement on the legality or otherwise of what transpired in Rivers State, maybe we would have learned a lot more lessons. But right now, the people of Rivers State did not derive any benefit from the state of emergency. There is no doubt about that from the details that have been coming out from that state. And we just hope that these legislators, the members of the State House of Assembly, the governor himself, and all those who will become commissioners, because I don't think they will be commissioners at the moment, I hope they will sit together and say, look, we don't need outsiders to come and help us with what is going on. We need to sit down together. If Mr. Wike, yes, Wike, he can also come down. He's supposed to be a leader. Leadership is not about forced options. It is about making sure that you listen to your people and convincing them on why some steps have to be taken. If the steps you have taken, if they are perceived to be wrong, your people say they don't like it, it's time for all of them to get together and eschew all animosities and move on to make the people of Rivers State happier. Okay, so for Governor Sim Fubara now, how careful should he be? Because it appears that he's an orphan when you look at the political structure of Rivers State. Members of the State House of Assembly, they are not his boys, and the newly sworn in local government chairman, they are not from his camp as well. So he's like an orphan when you look at him, or the lapdog of the godfather of Rivers politics. He's in power, but he doesn't have power. Wow. That is the unfortunate situation. The man, I believe, is in power. He's back in power without the power. You know, he doesn't have the facilities, the faculties, the paraphernalia of office. He has been cowed. He has been beaten blue and black. So he's coming back now, and he might have the back without a bite. And that is most unfortunate. Because if you're a governor without executive power, because what has been shown to him is, look, we have now shown you that there is another thing about power. You can be voted by the people and you can be removed the people. That's what has happened to him. Now he will be treading cautiously. He may not be able to execute his executive powers, and that is most unfortunate. Because when you are there as governor, you are not the chief security officer of your state. You are not in charge of budgetary allocations. You cannot execute projects. You can't do anything because he still has to go to take directives from those who are above the electorate. People who actually have the power de facto. When I say de facto, there's what we call de facto power and de jure power. Power that is given by the Constitution, right, is different from power that is just there for people to utilize. There are a lot of people who trample on our Constitution, who trample on the law, who do not respect the law, and they get away with it. Those are the ones who have de facto power because they don't need any authority. They don't need any validation before they exercise power. Now, Fubara needs validation. Every step he takes now, he cannot just bite, he can bark. So, I mean, a governor who cannot bite after the bark, how do you address him? I am not here to disparage him. I am only trying to motivate him. The Constitution supports him. There have been situations where governors have been removed and they got back and they still did what they were empowered to do by the Constitution. He should not be deterred by the setback which he has experienced. He should go ahead and do things right by his people. It is when you are not doing things right by your people that your people cannot really fight for you. But when you do things right by the people, when the people actually derive benefits from your exercise of power, you will see how powerful you are in your own state. Now, a lot of people have talked about what is happening in Nepal. How young people, Gen Z, this same Gen Z, how they brought down government because government simply said, "Oh, we are going to shut down social media." Do you understand? These young people, they then mobilized themselves. It was haphazard. It's not really different from the EndSARS that happened in Nigeria. It's just that we're a different kind of people. Now, they mobilized themselves haphazardly. No plan, no packaging. They just revolted against those in power. Now, after doing everything, they returned all the arms they seized, and they then appointed the Chief Justice of the country. Well, is he retired as a woman? And say, "Okay, lead us." That is real power. Unfortunately,
Power
Nigerians are yet to come to terms from the people. Not necessarily the people themselves, the young people. You see, in Nigeria, we have the wasted generation. The next generation is the cowardly generation. I think I belong to that generation. We are cowardly. The ones before us, as pronounced by Professor Olishimika, they are the wasted generation. Now, the only generation that is active in real terms in Nigeria, they are the youths, Gen Z. They win all the accolades, they win all the laurels. If there's anything that makes us happy in Nigeria, it's this same Gen Z. If there's anything that makes us unhappy, it is them. God forbid that we continue to trample on them, on their rights, and we continue to call them names, and we say they can do nothing. It is a constituency that we ignore at our own peril. Nigeria does not need anything bloody at this point in time. Nigeria is like a time bomb waiting to happen. And, I mean, taking that to Rivers State, I believe that everybody in politics, everybody in power, they must be very careful at this point in time not to bring about an inferno that will start in one corner of Nigeria and consume the whole nation. It will be too bad.
Okay, so
Fubara should just work in tandem with the Constitution.
Okay,
carry people along.
This particular development, what does it portend for 2027, especially for those who are insinuating that Mr. Sim Fubara might need to change camp from the PDP to the APC to be relevant in 2027?
Well, you see, politicians, they take us for granted all the time because it's like they know our password, they know our passcode. They take us for granted. You see, a lot of permutations are going, "Oh, Fubara cannot contest for a second term. Oh, Fubara should change term." Don't forget that Fubara is still PDP. I hope you understand.
Yes.
It's not APC. And so now, which camp is he changing to? He's going to change. He's changing to APC. And the assumption is that once he changes to APC, all things are passed away. All things have become new. He becomes one again. And then the people must follow him. You see, these things keep happening, they keep happening, we keep doing the same thing, the same way, and we expect a different answer. If the permutation is that, all he has to do to gratify his paymasters is to cross over, to cross carpet to another party so that he can have a second term, what about the people? That's why I said democracy is supposed to be dynamic and strategic. When people assume that, this democracy that we practice is what is written on the pages of books, the world has moved on from there. it is about the people. Look, in UK, in the US, everybody, the nationalists are jumping up. Israel, everywhere. Everybody is saying, no, this is our country, this is our land. Even in Nigeria here, the Yorubas are saying, no, this is our land. It is nobody should say it's no man's land. That is nationalism. The world is moving onto another phase. Let us hope that the benefits of that phase will be beneficial to everybody. But if it is otherwise, it's going to be bloody. Now, the politicians sit down as if they are playing boardroom politics. They just assume that, all you need to do, we're talking about this man, former NNPC employee, that was jailed recently in the US for collecting bribe to, I think, $2.1 million or so. We were talking about him. And somebody wrote that, look, he has been jailed, he's one of those who has been stealing the Commonwealth, and all that, and all that, and all that. And I told the person, I said, now, what do you say to the fact that this person was apprehended in the US, he was tried in the US, and in record time, judgment was delivered, and he now knows his fate. I said, if that man had been in Nigeria, in my country, and he was apprehended, the case would be either be protected or he joins a political party. And if the political party in power tried to apprehend him, say, oh, I'm being victimized, then they will suspend that. If he joins the party in power, there will be no case again. Now, that is the situation we find ourselves in. Political parties are no longer politicking. What they are doing is cleaning up dirty people and presenting them as worthy candidates for election, which is most unfortunate. So now, the idea that, Fubara, all he has to do in order to be there, to look very good to the people, is to join a particular political party, undermines our collective sensibilities as a people. It tells us that we don't matter in this equation. And I believe that the Nigerian people will still surprise politicians in a short while.
Okay.
It's coming.
Where does this leave the FCT minister and, of course, the power tussle for 2027? Where does it leave him?
Well, he appears to be on the right side of power at the moment. He seems to have the knife and the yam. From the look of things, it appears so. It may not be so, because every time. I mean, as a lawyer, we are trained to discuss in practical terms. But, when you get to a point where you are pushed to the wall, what do you do as an African, as a Nigerian, as a Yoruba man? You then invoke the God factor. A lot of politicians, a lot of those who say they play politics, they forget the God factor in things. Mr. Nyesom Wike appears to be on the right side of power at the moment. But my admonition to him is that he should not rest on his words. He should not look at this as a won and lost duel. He should see it as an opportunity for him to play the leadership role that has been entrusted upon him by the Almighty. This is the time to call everybody together and be a leader in the real sense of the word. But if it is about, permutations for 2027, and His Excellency believes that, okay, I have Rivers in the bag for whatever political party he decides to go with. Because right now he's a member of PDP working for APC. If he decides that, okay, I have Rivers in my pocket, it's in the bag, well, like I always say, the God factor matters. It doesn't come.
But the figures are in his favor. The figures are in his favor.
What figures? What figures?
He has the governor in his pocket. He has members of the State House of Assembly, the local government chairman. These are the structures that he needs to win election in 2027.
I quite agree with you. But when you look at those people, the people you are talking about, those in power, those that are ruling, local government chairman, House of Assembly, even the governor that is the king on the chessboard. I mean, if you look at those figures, they are they are powerful people, right? But what I'm telling you is that at some point in time, the electorate may actually matter. And when they matter, he doesn't have the figures. The question should be, are the Rivers State happy with him? Are they happy with Fubara? Are they on the same side with them? Now, these Rivers people, they are more than all these people put together, all those in power put together by the million. Now, if those people decide that, okay, we are going to exercise our franchise, and if they are prevented from exercising the franchise, I say it is a tinderbox. Anything can then happen. So it will be a fallacy to assume that Wike has the numbers on his side. He has his people, his politicians on his side. Does he have the people on his side? He doesn't. I say that with all sense of responsibility.
Okay, so are you impressed with the way and manner with which Mr. President handled the whole situation at the beginning of the declaration of a state of emergency, and of course ending it yesterday as well?
Well, my impression, unfortunately, does not matter in the equation of things in this country. So whether I'm impressed or not, it doesn't really matter. You know, Mr. President will probably not will not listen to me, will not see me, will never meet, will probably never meet me. So whatever impression I have is a matter of it's subjective, is my. But I'll tell you this: if what transpired in Rivers that led to the imposition of a state of emergency, if that is the standard for the imposition as prescribed by the Constitution, I say no, it's not. But if, let us assume that it is, then there are many states in this country that should go under state of emergency. States that have been taken over by bandits, by miscreants. There are states in this country where fundamentalists are imposing taxes on people, meaning that the governors are no longer in control of substantial portions of their states. Why is there no state of emergency in those places? Where people, foreigners, are mining our resources, not in accordance with the law. Now, those states deserve to be, under states of emergency. Nothing of that nature has been done. Yes, I am not impressed, because at the material time, Rivers was not ripe for a state of emergency. I do not agree with that imposition, but it doesn't matter. Mr. President has wielded his power rightfully or wrongfully. Unfortunately, the court still did not make the appropriate pronouncement at the appropriate time. And so we have not learned any lessons.
So how long shall we continue to bear the influence of godfatherism in our polity? Which was what played out in Rivers.
Yes, for as long as it takes for the Nigerian people to wake up to the reality on ground, that there is no God, no power, no authority that is coming to make our country better for us. The decision to make our country better must come from us. The action that will make this country better must come from the people. We are over 200 million, right? The ridicule that we face outside this country should spur us on. You see, those of us who have never had an opportunity to travel out of this country, we do not know the perception of the outside world. There are people out there who are even Nigerians who don't come home regularly, and they think that everything is rosy. Yes, some things are going well. Nigeria is not all negativity. I must say that. You see, some Nigerians are taking the bull by the horns. Some Nigerians in diaspora, they are coming back home to invest in agricultural activities. That is good. They believe in their country. But the motivation is not because the enabling environment is perfect. The motivation is this: the kind of ridicule, the opprobrium they suffer in a foreign land is pushing a lot of Nigerians to just come back home. I want to come back home, live the rest of my life in Nigeria and die there. Because dying in a foreign land does not add anything to me. So you see, the situation we have today in Nigeria can only be changed by us. Our civic responsibilities are there. Till today, you still have some Nigerians who will tell you, I'm not voting. I'm not voting. One can understand the apathy. One can understand that, yes, some of them have voted in the past. I will keep voting. I will keep voting Whether it counts or it doesn't count, I will not stop. I will encourage my family members, my children, my wife to vote. That is my civic responsibility. Because I will prefer a civil way of changing power or transitioning than a violent way. Because those of us, some of us may think that I'm not a politician, I'm not this. There are people who look at you and they think that, see what is wearing, the way you are dressed now this morning. Some people look at you and think you are also there chopping. That's the way you are dressed though, because you are wearing two things. Something on top of your shirt. Some people can't afford that. And they say, I'm big men, these are the people chopping our money. They don't understand that you are just working your 9 to 5. So if there is anything violent, it's going to affect the middle class more than the elites, whose families are outside this country anyway.
All right, we must thank you very much, Dare Oloyede, lawyer and political affairs analyst, giving us his own perspective on restoration of democratic rule in Rivers State. We thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, before we go on a very short break at this moment for us to have another conversation entirely, Joy, what's your own perception about the whole development in Rivers politics?
Well, I am happy that the democratic rule has been restored, which is good. But again, one question that lingered in my heart yesterday when I saw the new development, the new spirit of understanding mentioned by the president, will it really translate into a genuine reconciliation between the executive and the legislative in Rivers State?
That's on one angle. And if you had listened to Dare Oloyede, I put a particular question to him wherein I said that the peace that we now have in Rivers State, is it authentic or is like that piece of a graveyard?
So many questions.
And you see, whether we like it or not, godfatherism in Nigerian politics is still here to stay for a while, because when you look at the whole situation of what played out, at the end of the day, the FCT minister had his way.
Yes, he did. But like I said on Monday, I'm very sure that Fubara is a renewed man. And he will watch his steps.
I hope so as well. I hope so as well. And I'm sure he must have learned his lessons. Enough of Rivers State. We'll be going on a very short break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at another thing entirely, which has to do with our health. Stay with us.